all right.
Can you make my hair look like this?
Oh, man, what you want to make your hair look like that for?
See, that's the problem with y'all today. Y'all don't know nothing.
Will you let the man tee you off? You yap worse than 6 barbers.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Your Barber podcast. I'm your host, Matt Milady, a.k.a. Matty Blades. We're coming in on a Sunday right after a big New York Knicks victory. Pretty ecstatic. So this is going to be episode number 12. And let's go ahead and bring in my guest real quick, man. This is a very special guest today. He is the host of the Barber College Success podcast. I've been watching this guy from afar since I started here. He's got
yes, sir. Appreciate
how you doing this afternoon, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. On a good Sunday. It's really sunny outside. Hey, up in East Tennessee, it feels real good.
East Tennessee, man. East Tennessee. So we're talking a little bit before we went live. When I first started this podcast, my whole idea was like, it dawned on me that I should start a podcast in November. And then I kind of put it on the back burner until the start of 2023, the new year. And I was like, I always felt like there was a void. I just didn't really come across a lot of barber podcasts. So I was like, man, there's no barber podcasts out there. And then once I got started, once it became more of a reality that I was going to do it, I started looking up and I was like, man, there's a little more barber podcasts than I thought. So yeah, I came across yours. It was always on all of the top barber podcast lists. So I was ecstatic to get you on here, man. It's not often that you're a guest. You're usually, preaching the gospel of barbering.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you just inviting me on. I think you and I share the same sentiment and the same messages. Keep pushing the love for our industry out there so it can continuously grow. So I appreciate that, just being on your platform.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you coming on. Yeah, just progressing it forward and just mixing it up, man. There's not a lot of common folk that realize, all of the things that go into barbering and just from the school. People don't even know you have to go to school to be a barber. So, yeah, they're like, what'd you do? Just pick up the clippers and get rolling? No.
No, I mean, it's serious, but a lot of people don't. But that's the part of our trade that kind of the message I want to push to kind of get the prestige and people understand that this is a viable trade and this is something that you can take care of yourself, feed your family, and live a glorious life.
Absolutely, man. I was so happy I did it. It was something I yearned for a very long time. And when the time came for a big change, I doubled down and made it an even bigger change. So, but yeah, man, before we hop into some of your background and talk about where you're coming from and where you've been, we're going to hop into my opening segment. It's called Just an Observation, right? I'm a very observational guy. I'm looking around the barbershop I work in. We're in a prime location in Midtown Atlanta, about a block away from Piedmont Park, and just very central spot. And so our barbershop has a full bar in it. It's one of the most underrated bars. Ooh. And yeah, we got assistants and everything. And so the way the shop's laid out, you walk in, you walk downstairs, and the bar's in front of you. And then there's a glass wall that separates the barbershop and the bar. And so there's like sliding doors they open into the full barbershop. And so one thing that when I first inquired about working to this place, I was like, it's going to feel like we're performing in front of a lot of people watching us at the bar through the glass, right? Mm-hmm. And at the beginning, I thought that would be like a nice way, especially breaking into a new city, just, kind of earning more clients. Like, man, that guy looking like he's taking care of that guy's beard pretty good. Let me tell my husband, let me tell my cousin, whatever. So the other day, I'm noticing this happens more and more often. There might be a couple that comes in, a partnership, a couple, whatever, and they do a lot of like I'm cutting the guy's hair. It might be the first time I'm cutting him up, or it's someone that I'm maybe holding down for someone else that's out. And I'll be cutting up a dude, and their significant other will be on the other side of the glass, sitting at the high top watching. And then it's like they turn into the Navy SEALs all of a sudden. They're like throwing hand signals. They're like,
like on the side of the football game.
yeah, they're like, I think I'm gonna be okay. I think I'm gonna be. they're just like, no, stop, no. I'm just, at the beginning, I was like, man, this is a little added pressure. I'm like, the lights are on. I got to perform here in front of the whole family here.
Yeah, that's easy for you.
Yeah, the more and more it happens, I'm just like, this is hilarious.
But the thing is, as I picture what you're saying, that sounds unique, though. That sounds really nice. It almost seems like, like most athletic stadiums where they have the athletes walking in and they have people on the side just looking at them. So I could just imagine that. That's something to see. I think that's amazing. That's something for Barberville need to come down and check y'all brothers out.
Hey, yeah, dude, check it out. It's a shop like no other. When I first moved to Georgia, we live in Decatur. My wife got a job here, a job opportunity. So had to uproot for the third time in this industry and start anew. I've said this before on previous episodes, but I always take it as like, you accidentally bump the reset button on your Super Nintendo or something. Like you got to start over, but you got to keep all your powers. You got to keep all the knowledge and skill. And you did it once, you beat the full game, or at least got to the upper levels, you can do it again. So it's always an enjoyable challenge. And but yeah, when I first started looking for shops, we bought our house, and I started close to our house, and I kind of worked my way downtown and then further uptown, midtown, and then I was just noticing it was like there's not a lot of options for like walk-in opportunities. It was like all appointment only, just like like, okay, how am I going to break in? And it seemed like really segregated. It was the all white shop, it was the all black shop. I'm like, okay, how can I break in where everyone goes? Because that's what I'm used to. So it's how I was developed. So
that's
I'm like, how can I find the spot? And I started looking around Midtown. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's seeming like I'm up to something here. Then I stumbled across the shop, and I'm like, oh, this is it. This is it. And back to my New York Knicks, one of my bosses, who's actually transitioned out of our shop. We're kind of in a transition period, but we'll get through it. But he's a huge New York Knicks fan. And usually you got to do like a little bit of a audition or test haircut basically in the shop, which I'm glad I didn't have to do because I had a month off from cutting. So I probably would have been a nervous wreck. But he saw my page, and my Instagram page. It's your portfolio in a lot of ways for your work, especially when people don't know you. So he looked through my work and stuff. He liked what he saw, but he noticed I had a New York Knicks cape on one of my clients, and he's like, oh, he's automatically hired.
That was it. That's what's up.
So I was like, thank God. I had a little bit of limbo with my license, like transferring from state to state, and it took a little longer than I thought it was going to take. So yeah, finally got that hashed out and got in there. But yeah, man, that's my observation though. The guy's doing the Navy SEAL signals during the haircut. Yeah, I called him out on it too. I was like, "What are you guys, Navy SEALs? What's going on?"
It's just like sometimes when we're in a school and we have some parents and they sitting there standing and watching their kids get their hair cut by the students, and the students get so nervous, and at times I have to go over there and just kind of deflect the tension and just talk to the parents and make them know, it's okay. We got this.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna take care of this either way. You're not gonna leave here, looking ridiculous. You're kidding.
And then you come. It's the reason you come to school for a discount haircut a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
a lot of kids in school.
Don't give those students a hard time. Don't stare them down and make them feel extra nervous about doing something that they love and just trying to help you out.
A lot of barbers don't like that at any level. They don't like someone breathing down their neck.
No, exactly.
So that's a good way to learn that. It's a good way to develop some, composure skills and just lock in that focus and, Just get the job done at the end of the
You
day.
need that.
Oh yeah, man. So let's get into your background, Craig. Where are you from initially, man? And
Well,
talk about that.
I came to East Tennessee to play college football in 1995. So I came there from Boston, high school in Boston, came down to East Tennessee.
So
95,
you're born in Boston.
graduated in the Roxbury, Dorchester area.
Okay.
Got my played college football, 4-year letterman. Checked the area out. The area is really kind of rural when I first came in.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many barbershops. Like you said, you want to go to a barbershop that can cut both. You don't want to just go to a black barbershop or a white barbershop. You want to be able to feel comfortable where you can be able to get your hair cut. So there wasn't too many black barbers when I first came to college in the area.
Yeah.
I think there was one, my wife's uncle. And I was just cutting hair, man. And I was like, I scoped the area out. I remember in one of my economics class, it said something about supply and demand. And I always remembered that. And basically it's a business quotation. Wherever there's the demand, you supply it. And
it's
go ahead.
hilarious you said that. I literally, one of my questions for you, I came up like probably the last thing I thought of before I went on had to do with supply and demand as a barber. But we'll get there. So continue there, my man. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, that's all good. So I mean, I went back, worked in the group home setting after I graduated. Did some things after college. Trying to do the football thing. Got picked up went to camp with the 49ers.
No way.
That didn't work out. So I went back home and
hey man, at least you could say you got to that level at any, tier of it.
I mean, no, being real, I mean, that right there is being on the highest level of your profession showed me that whatever thing I chose after that, I need to get into the highest level of it. That's what that taught me on that level. So,
right. What position do you play though, real quick?
I play defensive tackle, defensive end.
No way.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I didn't strike you as a defensive tackle.
Yeah, I'm 6'5", 290.
You're 290 right now?
Yeah, no, I'm about like 285 probably, but I'm 6'5", 285 around there.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite go-to? I'm a huge football fan myself. So what was your go-to move? The swim, the rip,
a combination of all the swim and try to hit him with a bull rush first and then do a swim.
The bull rush got to be the D tackle.
Yeah, bull rush then a swim.
Yeah.
Quick
You get
little
that pressure up the gut, man. It's over. It disrupts a lot. So yeah,
but the whole time barbering was my thing, and when we talk about once you find your why and you find your passion, you don't work a day in your life.
Exactly.
And I think I found my why when I was about 13, and which led me to just continuously cut hair everywhere, every stop in my journey, in college and high school and in prep school. I went to Hargrave Military Academy. So it was a combination of just always having those clippers in my hand and just enjoying it, enjoying the art of just cutting hair, the art of just seeing your hands do something that you're like, man,
did that.
I did that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you just did some artwork, and it's every 30 minutes is leaving your hand and going to the streets for someone to see it. So that was it for me. And I tell people until the day, like, hey, I don't have a bad day. I've never had a bad day since I came in this industry.
I still love it, man.
Yeah.
It's the most fulfilling job I've ever worked. I've worked a lot that I've hated. Trust me.
And I tell my students, I give them, because I own 2 schools now. I'm getting ready to open another school on the 6th of May. And I tell my students, do yourself a self-study, a test. Just do a quick test. Go around and ask people, the next 10 people you meet, how many people can say that they have never had a bad day on their job in the past 10 years?
That's crazy.
Most barbers, they don't say that. Most barbers, they don't. You know what I mean? So
I always talked about, just in terms of like just being authentic with your clients and even building clientele. Like, I love letting my clients know I love this job. I love
Oh,
what I do.
that's
And
important.
I was just thinking about, like, how many jobs you encounter people at their jobs that say they love their job.
Right.
It's super rare.
It's,
You always hear how much they hate their job, never about how
yes.
much they love it.
So that's what I try to tell students, to show them the importance of what they do when they learn and they training. A
Yeah,
lot of people love to be in your position for what you getting ready to be into, what you preparing for, because you're going to have this career that's going to be built on so much love. So take advantage of your time while you're in school.
right.
Give
Yeah,
your all, maximize that time, because you're going into this industry that you got to put some care into it that you're going to love.
absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see the finish line sometimes for some students at any age. Seems like the older the barber student, the more focused they are, of course.
Yep.
But so like, so you were a barbershop owner before you were a barber school instructor and owner?
Yes, I worked in the shop from I opened my first shop in 2004, and I worked in the shop up until 2015, 16, and I
Okay.
opened my school in 2016, 17, and that was it.
Okay. So yeah, that's a long grind. 10 years, a decade before you really got into the whole education part of it. So you got 3 schools, or you're
Ye-
about to have the 3rd open now.
Yes,
One's
yes,
in one's in Johnson City, Tennessee, one's in Bristol, Virginia, correct?
yes,
Crown
yes,
Cutz Academy,
yes,
correct?
sir.
Nice. Crown Cutz Academy. I like that. Where's the 3rd location going to be?
The third one is actually is going to be really unique. I'm going into a new industry. So my wife, she does nails, and she has a
Uh,
nail salon, and I'm going to open a nail school for her. And
oh, wow.
yes, tapping into a totally new industry, but it's really the same industry because it's still teaching and it's
Yeah.
under the cosmetology field. So
Talking about fulfillment.
yes,
Barbering opened up this opportunity for you to help your wife do what she loves and to thrive even further. So it's
yes,
a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful
yep,
thing.
yeah. I think school, the part of opening schools, I think I've kind of mastered and kind of understood how to do it now. So I'm really kind of hitting my stride, understanding where to turn and how to do certain things to make the school work for me. We actually also looking to open a school in Asheville, North Carolina as well, coming up in the fall. So,
Nice. Wow, man. You're expanding. I love it, man.
oh
You're
yes.
really doing it. So, like, what was that moment where you were like, I should be teaching this? I should be an educator of sorts, like once you moved on from just being a shop owner? What was that moment where you're like, this
Well,
could be
well,
a whole different lane?
well, again, it was kind of the same equation as far as like supply and demand. In my area, East Tennessee, there was no particular school to get your barber license. And during my 10, 12, 13 years in the barbershop, I would have so many people come up to me. It was like, hey, how can I get my barber license? You look like you happy, you doing well, you loving your job. I want to be a barber, but there's nowhere to get my license. So then I started thinking, like, man, this might be an opportunity again.
Yeah, filling another void.
Yeah,
So there were
filling
no
another
barber
void.
schools.
Yeah, there
Like,
wasn't yeah, there was none really in the area. And there were so many kids who were getting out of high school who didn't have an opportunity to go to college. And I was like, I maybe can do something and do my part in my community and help out. And
right.
maybe give a kid, a guy, a girl opportunity to go through this barbering industry and see if they would like it.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome, man. So once the student moves on from school and they're in the industry, they're in the world working, and it seems like a lot of barbers fall into this pattern where they start hopping around shops.
Hmm.
They're not seeing the success they thought of, and they're hopping around to this one. They let 3 weeks go by and they hop around to this one. So what's some advice you would give those guys on how to just maybe stay the course, or just maybe find or prioritize what's making them happy? What do they want out of barbering? Maybe.
I
Like,
mean, if this is your why and you're passionate about this, you will understand that it takes time and it takes growth with anything.
Right.
You know, if this is your why, and this is, again, you want this to be your passion, because there is nothing that we do in this world that doesn't take some time, and it's a process. Even going back, I was watching the show the other day, and this guy, to be a pediatric nurse, it takes about 10 years.
Wow.
So, and they know going into this, it takes 10 years. So imagine them coming in like their first year and they quit, or their first 2 years and they don't give their, oh, it's taking too long. This is a profession that's highly respected. This is a profession that you could take care of yourself and your family and make some great money in this industry. But if you bounce around and don't put a stake in something, you can't build you can't sustain nothing. It's a process.
Yeah. Even at the school level, like, these guys get complacent, and, you know, for me, it was always a dream of mine to be a barber. And, you know, it's honestly, for me, it was even kind of scary, just the like thought, like, once, you know, you nail that first haircut, you're like, wow, I did it. And I can't believe I'm going to get paid for this.
but that's the problem right there, Matty B, right? Most students, they start counting the money instantly.
Right.
And I think you need to stop counting that money instantly, because when you start counting it while you're in school, you try to rush the process.
And that's why they hop around.
And you get out of school, you can't shortcut 3 months out of school. You can't shortcut 6 months. You can't shortcut a year out of school. Most barbers out of school, they don't hit their stride until about maybe 9 months to almost a year and a half before you hit your stride.
Right.
And if you bounce around, there's no stability in that. And it's harder to hit your stride. You're just prolonging of you getting to that point where you need to be. You're delaying your progress.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to be, you know, this all-star like right out of the gate. Like, you know, you can have the confidence. It's going to expedite the process a little bit for you. But
sure.
Yeah, for me, it always took around 3 to 5 months where I was like, okay, I'm starting to move the needle. I'm starting to like get guys coming back. They like what I bring to the table. But yeah, so back in school, like, you know, back to the dream, I always wanted to do it. And then it was kind of like, it's really happening. And it was almost like, wow, am I going to hate this? Like I wanted it so much that I was like terrified I would end up hating it, just like all the other jobs I ever worked. Right.
For sure. I mean, but what students also have to do, they have to start building themselves up. You can expedite the process a little bit quicker, but a lot of students, they don't take school serious. Maybe about 20% of students take school serious. But if you take school serious from day one, your process will be expedited.
Absolutely.
But if you don't take school serious, you're going to delay your progress, because by the time you get out, you'll start thinking you have to hit this goal in a week. You'll have to hit this goal in a month. And I'm like, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
Because you didn't put the time in when you was in school, and you graduate in a year time. You expect the process to be expedited in 3 months.
Right. And it's not that you can't turn it around if you lollygagged your way through school and still made it through. It's not impossible. You can still build that work ethic. You can still build these principles. So, I mean, some people are more of a slow grinder, slow developers. I was always a late bloomer, you know.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's okay too. There's nothing wrong with being a late bloomer and developing late, but it's just that
there's something in you in school that you're still going to have. Like, you can just tell when certain students are like, there's no way they're going to last. There's no way. So, there's still, you know, it has to be a balance if you want to, you know, balance the life, balance, you know, a lot of people, this was actually the episode of yours I was watching. You guys were talking about balancing just, you know, the work and barber school. And a lot of people have a lot more going on than they show sometimes. And so let's talk about that. Just balancing and managing your time, getting through school.
Understanding first too, as a student, don't compare yourself to another student, because everyone has different journeys and different paths that they're going through.
It's very hard to do, but you can't.
Someone might be, as far as balancing and managing their time, someone might be really detailed and organized. And when they organize, they're going to get through stuff a whole lot easier and better. So if you're not detailed and organized coming into school with a plan, a game plan, how are you going to do things, you're going to struggle. So the important thing is talking to your family, your support system, let them know this is what you're doing and support you through things. I think that's one of the biggest things first, getting that strong support system around you.
It's hard. A lot of people don't believe in the dream sometimes. A lot of people are going to say like, well, come on, what are you doing? A barber?
Right.
You can't be successful in life. You can't make money as a barber. This is what you want. This is the dream. Like my dad wasn't in love with the idea of me being a barber. And unfortunately my dad passed, but it wasn't until after he passed when I finally pursued it.
Right.
So like you can't really worry about your folks, what they're going to think all of the time. Like
that's true.
They're going to be
true.
proud of you no matter what, if you make it to the other side, but you got to battle through the adversity of if you don't have the support. But try to make them believe too.
You know what, too? If you really get down to the nitty gritty and you have people around you, maybe a spouse, a girlfriend, or a good friend, and they see how you invested in something, more often than not, they will support you.
Right. They're like, wow, you're really excited about this. Like,
right. Show some excitement, show some enthusiasm, show some like, you know what, this is something that I breathe. This is something that I live. And people want to support you because that's like watching a kid every day walk up the street with his basketball, bouncing. Yeah. And he's 5 years old. And you're like, man, keep doing it.
Right.
You want to encourage.
Yeah.
And he's doing it every day.
Just that coordination part of it too. I was thinking about this earlier. Like a lot of people don't have the hand-eye coordination it takes to become a barber right out of the gate. You got to work at it. You might have to develop some just consistent, conditioning for your hands. And I was thinking of that. I was like, it's just like the kid shooting the basketball all day, walking around with the basketball. You can hold a clipper. You can hold the shears. You can hold that comb. Just get used to holding it. You're not going to be the same just comparing yourself to other people.
It's called muscle memory.
Yeah.
But you know what I discovered in the past maybe like 6 months since I've been teaching. And I kind of changed my teaching approach a little bit. So what I teach first now is confidence instead of the skill.
Yeah, that's big.
Because I believe when you teach confidence alleviates anxiety.
Yeah.
And anxiety a lot of times hold people back from learning and growing.
Absolutely.
They don't believe in themselves. They don't think they can do it. They think everyone's watching them. So if you build confidence first, that builds muscle memory. And no matter what, when the anxiety is leaving you, you feel more confident to give yourself opportunity to try.
Right.
But if you don't give yourself opportunity to try and you have all this anxiety, your confidence will never grow. So you have to kind of give people the confidence first. Let them know, big them up. Let them know, hey, man, that's good. You're trying. It's working. You're going to be fine. And once they feel that confidence within themselves, hey, watch out.
Yeah, man, that's a big thing. And it's nice to have good role models too, that can show you, look, I'm here and here's what I did. And you can develop your own style, but like, here's a good baseline of how to become successful. It's always good having that role model, which is what you are. But yeah, I was watching that episode and one of your co-hosts or a girl on there, she was talking about how she was just like getting invited to parties and she had to like turn them down and be like, I got to finish this school. I got to do this. And you told a story that was amazing about like when the coaches weren't watching and you were working out, conditioning with your teammates, you were touching the fence every time.
Right.
You were going the whole way when no one was watching. But someone's always watching, no matter what, if it's God, the universe, just someone from a distance you didn't realize. Someone's always watching. And for some way, somehow, that hard work and that grinding, it's going to work itself off and you're going to get rewarded. Or like your co-host said, what's his name? Am I? Yeah. He said, you may have inspired someone else at that party that, they're like, wow, she's really pursuing something. Maybe I should get my act together. Maybe I should stop messing around partying. And then you said you ran into your teammate years later. He's like, I knew you were always going to be successful, Craig. I knew you were going to do something because you always touch the fence.
And as simple as that, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he was my peer. We were the same age, and I didn't know if he was touching the fence or not. But that gave him something, some type of motivation. And I don't know, he probably was waiting to see me for years to tell me that, you know what I mean? But when he saw me, that was the first thing he said. He's like, man, I remember you always touching the fence when coach said, go touch the fence, and nobody else would. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I was just following directions. My mother said, when you go, you start, always listen to your coach and do whatever he says.
It's a good upbringing. That's good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had a tenth of the work ethic in high school that I gained after high school. I just, like I said, man, I was always a late bloomer. I played football, I played some basketball. We had good coaches, we had good conditioning, but I hated running. I hated working out, lifting. We lifted so much. We lifted at 5 a.m. You know who Jimbo Fisher is?
Yes.
So his brother, Brian Fisher, was my high school football coach.
Oh, so he had that same push and that drive.
Yeah. He probably had a pretty little chip on his shoulder too. His brother was what he was too. And their mom was my chemistry teacher. So you saw a full circle where it came from. She taught till she was like 90 years old. She always used to say, "This ain't Mickey Mouse," whatever that means. Like, you got to be elite.
Yep. Yeah, they got it from home.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, we ran like a 5-wide offense. I was picking up players, 5 a.m. Just it was crazy, man. But yeah, it was hard work, and it kind of made me realize that sport is a year-round thing. It's just not seasonal. But yeah, I wish I had. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe there was a reason why I didn't have the work ethic then, and I gained it after. But
that shows, right, what we're talking about in this industry: balancing and managing your time, getting through school. Find you a mentor, because everybody needs a coach. Find you someone who can help you hold yourself accountable. Everybody needs a coach. LeBron has a coach.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Everybody needs a coach. The CEO of the company, he has a coach. The president has a writer, a coach. You know what I mean? So we all need coaches. And balancing and manage your time in school, find you someone who can help you hold yourself accountable, and tell them your goals and your dreams, and help them hold you accountable.
Yeah,
because it's key.
It's great having someone keeping you in check sometimes, making sure you're not getting out of pocket, staying focused. That coach is going to hold you accountable.
And don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Accept feedback, accept constructive criticism.
Right.
And be honest with yourself. And when you're not going to school, tell that person, I didn't go to school. I'm not going to school. I'm not studying. You have to be able to hold yourself and have someone help you hold yourself accountable as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge having that, support and that mentor. For me, the first boss I had at a school, he was huge on that. He was so, him and his wife, it was a kind of like a double owner situation. I was their first employee, and they just were so focused on getting me ready, and they were so open to teaching me new ways, new systems. And I always watched them, and they were great. So that helped me out so much. And it was kind of like a walk-in only shop. It was one of those shops where there's people sitting for 3 hours waiting. And so it was good to have that little early pressure and that early go. And I had early success, and I was so fortunate. Every situation really I've ever been in, everything kind of came together for me really fast. And I'm sure some of it's me, some of it was things I did, but of
course,
I'm super lucky and blessed at the end of the day as well, and grateful. So man.
If you didn't put in the work and then discipline yourself, and able to follow through, and when people see you doing those things, they want to help you more too. They're more receptible to be forgiven and understand that, hey, it's going to be a growing process for Matt.
Yeah. And from my end, I don't want to let them down.
Right.
Like if they're putting that much effort into me, oh shit, I got to follow through. I can't let them down. So I've always been big on that.
Leaving late, helping clean the shop, Hey,
Yeah.
why would a shop owner, they love seeing that because they know they want to invest in you because they hope that you can stay around because they know that when you're there, the shop's going to run smooth and perfect and precise.
Yeah. Yeah, now I feel like I came from the minors to the majors. Like I don't have to lift a finger, sweep hair anymore,
Right.
answer the phone, like all this stuff. Like it's automated and taken care of. And it's just like, yeah, I'm even more grateful. I'm even more feeling like I can't let people down. Like there's, I'm so lucky. So
But that's where our business is going, automated, streamlined to make it more efficient, more effective, and for
right.
us to make more money. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. The prestige, the respect of this industry. I like it. I love it.
Yeah, man. We're taking it to the next level, man. Taking it to the next level. So one thing I've observed a lot in barbering, and I think this could be taught from the school level as well, is you want to work in a shop, right, where everyone gets along. There's no wild card rogue barber that's like just shaking the boat. And like how important is it to develop that camaraderie with fellow barbers and in the academy and school as well?
I mean, it's real important because that could possibly be your potential employer. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
I tell students all the time, look around you. These are your peers. These are the people that you're going to have. You're going to go to their weddings. You're going to go to their funerals. You're going to go to their celebrations. But these are also the people who are going to hire you or who you're going to hire. So I'm pretty sure there's some people in here by their work ethic, and you're looking at them every day that you say you will never hire. And you
Yeah.
guys know who you are. So you want to be that person who's going to school that is hireable by each one of your classmates, or you would hire them. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's your parents. So and you can learn and grow with each and every one of them. Each and every one of you guys should be learning and growing together.
Right. We're the only ones that understand each other the best, really.
Yes. And that's where it starts. I think everything starts on that level. You can grow and learn, and you can determine your income on that level when you're starting out. And most students don't realize that. I mean, I know it is a long process. It can be a long, drawn out process, but for me, I always tell students and for myself, make learning fun, make it into a game. Read those chapters and understand that those chapters are going to be the basis of your consultation for throughout your career. Those chapters are going to be a basis of a conversational starter for throughout your career. Go back into that textbook.
That's a good call. I should dive back into that textbook sometime. I still got it sitting somewhere.
Oh man, that textbook. Let me tell you what I did last within the past 2 months. So I read the whole textbook over again because I don't teach them. I have instructors who teach for me.
Right.
I'm more so on the business side and doing development, recruiting. So I went through and read the whole textbook in about like 5 weeks.
How'd you get the textbook? Was it something you guys had published, or was it you found it somewhere, or
No, at the school we teach Milady's textbook. We have the
Milady? Yeah,
Milady
that's what
textbook.
I
So
had. Yep.
I read the whole textbook in about like 5 weeks. Studied it up and down and took a test. Just took the test, the PSI test.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of refreshed some stuff for me that I needed to refresh.
Yeah.
But it also shows that I know a lot of barbers and a lot of educators, they're not going back into that textbook to help themselves understand how to grow.
That's a
Because
different lens to see it through. I like
it's a
that.
it's a reason it's called continued education.
Yeah.
If that's your craft, go back and reinvest into it and know as much as you can.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I firmly believe when you understand that textbook as a barber from the first page, from the first chapter to the last chapter, that's where you're putting your salary up in the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, I was grateful too for having great teachers. And yeah, that's a different way to look at it. Like, everyone talks about the continuing ed for barbers and how they need to, pay for these classes and do all these things to get better and watch people and observe. But, it's probably got to start from the instructor part too. Like, they need to hone that knife too. They need to
Oh yeah,
sharpen
all of us.
everything.
We all
Yeah.
do. I mean, and I encourage all barbers, if you're in this industry 3, 4, 5 years, or even past that, Go back into that textbook and read those chapters, man. Read those chapters. You'll find some interesting thing in those chapters. Because one of the key things I think most barbers miss out on is product sales.
Mm.
Most barbers want to make money just having a high priced haircut.
Right.
But you can have a high price service collectively if you understand the totality of the porosity, the density, the texture of the hair, and able to sell someone a shampoo after a haircut.
Yeah. I always found it fun educating the client.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's like the salesman. I sold insurance for a little bit. I hated it. It's not in me. It's not in me to just BS people all day. But like, if you truly believe in a product, especially something you can develop, like, it's easy to sell.
For your beard, for your hair, for your skin. I mean, we have so much more that we can, and you can start with a basic $15 haircut, and by end of the service, you're up to $45, $50.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You do a shampoo, you do a facial, you do you sell after you do the shampoo, you explain the reason for using the shampoo on the scalp and the hair and the texture and the porosity of all that stuff, and break it down in simple terms for the client to understand. And then, hey, this is the product that we have it for sale. It's $15, $25. So now here your $15 haircut is $40.
Yeah.
Or $30. You know what I mean? So, and on top of the shampoo, you're looking at, and that's just the minimum, but haircuts now are like 25, 30. So imagine you start 25, 30, you're up to $50 a service easy.
Right. Yeah. I always like to teach them how to use it when they're away from the shop, because that's a big concern for clients. They're like, yeah, I'll never have my hair looking like this at home, or like maintained this way at home. And you're like, well, here's how this product can help you make that haircut last, or help your hair health, or keep that beard, laid down good, or whatever it may be that the product does.
For
So,
sure.
yeah, that's always an important thing. But yeah, just wrapping up the camaraderie part, like, I always, when I started in a new shop, I always just introduce myself to everyone, let them know I come in peace, and I'm someone that you're going to enjoy working with, not despising working with. So, be important. Approachable, be teachable, be flexible. It's pretty simple when you embrace that, and everything just kind of comes together for you.
Have a great attitude and smile.
Yeah, keep that attitude.
You have a bad attitude and you're not smiling, you can't grow like that. And I tell students all the time, like, hey, smile, man. It's just greet.
There's a barber I follow. His name, I think it's Crown Cutz.
Yes,
he might be out of Houston. Yeah,
out of Texas, exactly. Houston, Texas.
He said something about like his the customer service angle. Once he figured out that he shouldn't be wearing a mean mug 24/7, and he was more approachable, it took him to a whole nother level.
Of course.
And like, I always go the angle of like, just being real with the client. Like, there's a fine line between professionalism and just being authentic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? People can tell when you're fake. And so I always let them know I'm not perfect. I screw up. Like, I in life, hey, here's what I'm dealing with right now. I got the in-laws staying with us for a month. I got this like.
But if you go back, right, and most people underestimate, again, go back to the textbook. The first 3 chapters of the textbook is introduction to the trade, life skills, professional image. And a lot of times you're thinking, like most students, oh, this has nothing to do with barbering. Of course it does.
Absolutely. These people want to feel at ease when they're in your chair. They want to know you are a professional, and you can let them know that pretty quick during the consultation. You show off your knowledge, you show off your recommendation on what you think they should do compared to what they're wanting. And you paint a picture for them, so it makes them comfortable. Like, okay, this guy, I knew, and they'll tell you sometimes. They're like, all right, I was a little nervous coming in. I didn't know, but I can tell already that I'm going to be fine.
Yeah. Go back the first 4 chapters: introductory to barbering, life skill, professional image, and sanitation. I mean, if not for nothing, just go back and read those 4 short chapters, and it's fun. There's interesting stuff in there that's going to help you carry a conversation with your clients.
Absolutely. So being an educator now, I mean, I know you play college football, but even before that, like what was kind of your educational background like? Did you really like school? Was that something you were into? Were you a great student then and you kind of developed it later, or?
You know what? I always loved information. One of the key things, I got this from my grandmother. She'd always read the newspaper, so I kind of make it a fact for me to always read the newspaper. Because the
Okay.
newspaper is, I think, one of the core teaching tools that we kind of underestimate.
Yeah.
Because it's local, city, national, and then weather and sports. You know what I mean? So you get a brainstorm of so many different things that you can learn from and grow from, which can also help with a conversational piece.
There you go. You
So I
know
was
what's kind of going on in the world.
Yes, I was always up in current events and loved to read, but I wasn't really in college. I didn't know how to study. So when you don't know how to study, it makes it difficult. And if you don't know how to ask someone to help you study, and you can identify that. So I got through college relatively just on the strength of just being real savvy. But I didn't understand I loved the information part until I got out, until I got into the barbering stuff and just kept on reading. And that's one of my key things I keep telling people. I hate that I didn't take advantage of college, because knowing what I know now, I would have gotten like at least a 4.0. But
What
I mean,
did
I
you
got
lean
the average, and I kind of get pissed at myself because I love information so much, and it's all in a college atmosphere. That's a learning environment. That's what information is. But I mean, but life turned out good. It's I can't complain.
It worked out.
It worked out.
What was your I was always a bare minimum guy in high school. I was always all right, let's get through this. Let's
My favorite subject was geometry in high school. That's my favorite subject.
So geometry. Okay, so you're a numbers guy, you like the math?
I don't really like math, but just geometry was my favorite subject.
That's interesting.
And
there's some numbers involved, there's some math involved. But
there's
you
plenty,
can
the 45, the 90, the 180. That's, you know what I mean? That's what we're cutting here. So I guess it was a prelude to me coming into this industry. But I got my degree. Symmetry. Yeah, I got my degree at East Tennessee State in communications and marketing. So, which kind of, I didn't know it was going to help me so much for my career path. But yeah, my background is marketing and communications degree.
Yeah, I always lean that way. Yeah, I first came into school wanting to be a physical therapist. There was this program, physical therapist assistant, and I didn't make the grades for it. It was a competitive program, and I just wasn't, I guess I just didn't have the want to. I guess I have it in me, but it always, my roadblock was math.
Right.
Even like, my parents were even really like, come on, I know you know this, trying to drill it in my head, like long division and stuff. But like, I had the encouragement, tried tutors. I just didn't want it. I didn't understand what was the purpose of these letters and algebra, why we needed to know this.
Because because they was trying to tell you you're going to be a barber one day, and there's plenty of math and barbering.
Exactly. So like, anyone out there that's at the early college level and they're still trying to figure out that career path, there's hope. Like, look into barbering. You'll never know if math is holding you up. Maybe making that change could be the best change you could have made, because you're looking at two guys that hate math. And yeah, now we're.
But I tell people there's plenty STEM in barbering. There's plenty science. There's plenty technology. There's plenty engineering, and there's plenty mathematics and science. And once we keep spreading those messages and let people know how prestigious our industry are and talking about the STEM, I think people will start understanding and start changing the narrative about this barber thing, and understand that, hey, when your kid say he wants to be a barber, it's okay, because he's choosing a career path that he's going to love.
You always hear people like educators, barber instructors, bosses, you always hear them, hey, well, why do you think you're able to take off anytime you want? Like, you should be treating this like any other job. Like, if
Yeah.
you were a lawyer, if you were in law school, like I saw you say before, you're going to get kicked out of school right out of the gate if you just, mail it in every other
Yep.
day. Like, you got to treat this like a true profession and give it the prestige it deserves, because just like anything, any job, it can be taken from you if you don't, if you take it for granted. So,
Well, for sure. I mean, as far as the educator part, we also do something. We're part of the Confess Project of America, which is the first mental health movement for barbers.
oh, that's
So,
great. That's partly why I wanted to start this podcast.
oh, that's big.
Give people more
We'll
awareness
talk about
on
that
how
more another
anxious
time. But
we are.
it's a whole different episode. It's big, man. It's
Absolutely,
important.
man.
It's really important.
That's why I harp on my routine every morning, just staying
Mhm.
consistent and keeping my mind and body in a good place, because the more distractions, the more you're not ready to rock, that your work's going to reflect it. Your performance is going to reflect it too.
For sure. Mental health is big, man. I think it's an underestimated thing across the country. And as far as us barbers, I think we have a responsibility with our clients that we can help them, because they come and look at us as advocates and look at us like we have all the answers sometimes. And we don't, you know what I mean? But we have to be there for them. So we should be able to have resources to point them to in the directions they have things going on. So that's where the Confess Project of America comes in.
Right. That's a good call. I mean, that's awesome. You guys are doing that. I really applaud that, because at first, when I first came up with this podcast idea, I wanted to call it Your Barber is a Person podcast, because we're not robots. We're real people that deal with crises and everything going on in life too. And we got to duck the slugs and still focus and cut hair. Me and my family, we had something kind of a very scary moment that happened to us on our commute to work the other morning. And I had, on a half day on Monday, because I got to go pick up my daughter, I had to jump right into 9 straight haircuts in a row right after a very shaky moment. So, I was like, hey, man, just get through his first haircut, then easy breathing. And then I kind of talked about it to my clients too, and it made me feel a lot better. So, I mean, your clients are there for you too. Don't be afraid to use them.
No, I mean, but that's the great thing about our industry. I mean, the relationships that you will build, the people that you will meet, those, I mean, that is priceless. I mean, for what we make in this industry and the relationships and the networking opportunities that we have, you can't even put a price on that.
Mm-mm.
You can't.
I don't know, man.
Another bonus.
So let's get into the podcasting real quick, and then we'll try to wrap this thing up before we don't get too long. So just a little, advice. Like, say you guys have been at it for a while now, right?
Yes.
Over 100+ episodes. You started by yourself, correct? And then you added to the podcast team. How did you add that team? What was the moment where you're like, okay, let me involve more people in this?
Well, the thing was, for a podcast, as you know, it's a conversational piece, and you want it to flow.
Yeah.
So it was times when I started, I was kind of like, even though I was prepared, I had things to say, it was kind of dry and almost draining for me to kind of keep the client entertained and just keep a flow to it. It almost seems sometimes I have to cut it short, because a podcast, as you know, you're doing it right now, it can just go. When you have a good conversation, it can just go.
Yeah,
and
you look up, you're like, damn.
The time just flies.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just trying to add a different perspective and add something else to kind of keep the flow going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said I always had to have a guest. Like, I'm not going to be talking to this camera by myself. It's just, it just won't work. I've always been a guy behind the camera more than in front of it. So, like, it was a big hurdle for me to just get in front of this camera and, talk a little bit. And it's kind of helped me have some self-reflection and realization too on just a lot. But, what do you do when you run out of ideas? How do you rack your brain? I mean, it's kind of, you got multiple brains going on your podcast.
Right.
That's very helpful. But
I
just,
mean, I think one of the key things, right, is right. If you want to come up with a podcast, you can never run out of ideas. If you just write a summary of what you did every day.
yeah, that's a good
Just
call.
write a summary of what you did every day. And
Thank
you can
you
just
for
go
that.
in, and especially if you work in a barber shop, you can write a little summary every hour of what happened, a different conversation. You know what I mean? And then you after a while, you see you have like 10 topics, and those 10 topics can just go.
Yeah.
And open yourself up and meet different people. Go to hair shows.
Yeah.
Go to continuing education courses, because that's where your ideas come from. That's where ideas flow.
Yeah. We have a Barber Con like show here in Atlanta, and I didn't go this year. And that's back to, I mean, we saw it earlier with my New York Knicks. I couldn't start this podcast till the game was over. I'm a big Denver Broncos fan.
Right.
I grew up when Elway went back to back and everything. And
yep.
So, yeah, I was like, man, the Broncos got a big game. I can't go this but I was still in my infancy at the shop.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you see, we had a delay getting on the podcast because the Knicks was playing, right?
Right.
No, so listen to this. This is gonna get you right. So what if the Celtics came on right after? What would we do?
I would let you rock, man. I will let you do whatever you want, man. Because you're making
a 6-hour delay, man.
We will push it to Tuesday or something or next week. But yeah, man. So they're looking pretty good too. They're gonna be in good shape. Is it lining up to where we could play each other in this next round?
If that does, we'll have a podcast after that.
Dude, come on, man. That's gonna be a nice one. That's always a big game. That's always a huge matchup.
Oh, yeah, I remember the last game we played on. I think Jaylen Brown missed some free throws, and Julius Randle was laughing at him. I think
There's always
Jaylen Brown
a rivalry.
Yeah.
C's and Knicks.
Yep.
So yeah, man. So
but getting back on that, man, topics you can always have topics. You know what I mean? Topics is just something I think in advance you have to sit down and brainstorm and just write about 20 topics down that you like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
One thing I like to come off semi-prepared. You know, I write a lot down, but I kind of run out of time just being a husband, a father, and barber, and working. And you know, I've become more of an early riser as I've aged, so that's why I get everything done. I'm walking on the treadmill, typing stuff on my phone, and you know, I've kind of went over the ideas a few different ways, and then I've been starting to write it down on paper, things, especially if I get a guest of a bigger stature. But everyone should be held at the same stature. But like yourself, I'm like, let me write some stuff down real quick. Let me not bomb on this thing.
But it's organic though, man. But when you're a barber, right? You could you know it, Matt. If you meet a barber in the airport, the conversation is gonna flow, and you have nothing written down. You can just talk for like a 3-hour delay. If your flight's delayed for 3 hours, you can talk for 3 hours about being a barber. You know what I mean? Because the love I could see on your face that you have, and the love that I have for this industry, we can just talk, sit in the room and just talk a whole day about our industry.
Absolutely, man. Let me ask you something real quick about social media. What are your thoughts on social media and barbering? Because it seems like a lot of people make it seem like you have to have it. You have to have a presence. Like it's possible without it too. What do you think about social media, Craig?
Well, for one perspective, I'll go on two perspectives. For students, I like it and I don't like it, because what it does for students, it makes them want to compare themselves to the next barber, and then they feel like failures while they're in school if their haircuts are not up to par. And I'm like, it's not fair for someone who's been cutting hair for 20 years for you to compare yourself to them, because they have learned some things in the 20 years that they're put into that one video.
Yeah.
And if you want to be exactly like them, you're kind of diminishing all the hard work that they've put in. And if they want to put pressure on you, that's not fair to them, because they was once in your shoes when they had started off and they wasn't too great.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. It's huge at that level to harp on. Don't worry about social media right now. That's not what it's about right now.
Right.
Like maybe at one point, you'll get to whatever, but you can't focus on that and get distracted. And my instructor said the same thing. He's like, it's a terrible distraction. Get rid of it.
Yeah. But I mean, when you trying to build yourself or build your market up, and after you're into this industry, you're licensed, I think it's important, but try to be unique, try to be different. Don't just take a picture of the profile of someone. That's the only pictures you take. Do something different. Take some pictures, a picture or video of you sweeping up after work, and put a caption in that.
That's even becoming oversaturated. The sweeping hair videos. I've been seeing a lot of those.
Yeah, but do something unique.
They want to know you. They want to know what your day's like. Just bring something different than the fresh fade haircut video.
Yeah, like wake up in the morning, show your morning routine, walk into the shop. What do you do to prepare? Show yourself studying. What do you do? What kind of continuing education do you do to be a barber? How do you consistently hone your craft? How do you break your tools down? That's something different. You know what I'm saying? Break your tools down and screw them all the way down and put them back together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do something.
Eventually, I'm going to talk about tools on here and clippers. A lot of people, like a lot of my clients, when I bring up I have a podcast, they think that's what we're talking about. And I'm like, I haven't brought it up one time yet because wasn't my initial goal of this podcast really, but I'll get into it eventually. Because some people, they're snobs about their clippers. They're like, you're using the walls, using the JRL, So
my best
I'll get into that eventually, though.
Yeah, my best clippers was some of these clippers that was $19, and they came directly from China.
You gotta, if you know the clipper, you can get the most out of it.
Yeah,
it's just it's to each his own. Again, it's whatever you're comfortable with. I definitely have a loyalty to Andis. I definitely lean that way with a lot of my clippers. But when I try something new and I'm blown away, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I gotta be flexible. I gotta try out some new stuff here. And I just had clipper die on me. I got 2 cordless masters. I got a gold one with the taper blade, and I got a silver one with the fade blade. And I use that silver one strictly for beards, like freehanding beards or freehanding tops.
Right.
Because I just like the way it threads through the hair and it requires less passes.
For sure.
And they died on me.
Wow.
Something wiring wise went.
Yeah, send those back to the factory in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's what someone told me. He's like, call a company. They'll fix it up for you. So
I actually met the owners one time. I was in Milwaukee at this function for Andy's, and I met the owners. We was doing something up there for the mental health movement, and they one of the sponsors. Andy's is. So they gave me some stuff, and I met the owner and her brother and the marketing director. They're some nice people.
I ended up using the Revites, the newer clipper they came out with. It's kind of like the wall.
Yeah, they gave me a pair of those to try out.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't in love with them. I'm certainly not. I only use them for certain things, but I got the one with fade blade on it, the flat one. And that's kind of why I just replaced that with in the meantime until
it just came out. I mean, everything when it comes out for the first time, it needs.
They've already updated it, I think, with the removable top or whatever.
Yep.
So one thing back to social media, and we're seeing it a lot, is the barber creators, the barber content creators, and the barber celebrities are harping on this. Raise your prices, charge $150 a haircut. You can get away with it, great. But I don't understand. It's not always as simple as there's this big group think on if you have the demand, if it's there, raise your price. It's not as clear cut as that. It's not always that simple.
No, because everybody goes through transition. You know what I mean? If you one day they might be up, one day they might lose their job and they won't come back. So you want to be able to cater to your clientele and not outsource them to say, because that's the people who are going to take care of you. That's the people who are going to feed you. That's the people who are going to take care of your bills and help you feed your family. So I mean, you have to be careful when you have these outrageous prices.
A lot of these barbers, they're kind of ruthless with it. I'm like, these are the people that are giving me, they're maintaining my dream. Like, I want to take care of them. I want to be fair. I also want to progress. But there's definitely a balance to doing it the correct way. Like, you just can't, like, they don't want to pay the price, forget them. Like,
no,
that's
not customer service.
That? Yeah.
It's not customer service, for one.
Right.
And I think most barbers probably do that for the likes and almost like a status.
Right. And some of these barbers aren't charging what they're claiming either, probably.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are faking the funk a little bit for sure. But yeah, we said at the very beginning, supply and demand. There's a ton of, things that are true to that. But yeah, it's not always as simple as everyone makes it seem. You have the demand, it's time to raise your prices. Say, okay, how long have you had that demand? You can't do it right out of the gate.
Raise your prices in reason.
You can't jump $70 in your price. You can't go from $30 to $100 right there. It's a progression.
In reason, for sure.
Let these people grow with you little by little. They'll appreciate your journey even more too.
And always give something back, to add something to when you're raising your prices.
Exactly.
Don't just raise your prices and
it's like, I'm doing this, but you're getting more time out of me too, which is something, invaluable. Like, so yeah, that was one thing I definitely wanted to talk about. How these raise your prices. It's just like, man, would you stop it?
Get what you're worth, but you also have to, again, give something back. Don't just raise your prices and your shop's the same. Your customer service is terrible, or be able to give something back. Make sure you have all your clients' birthdays, before you even raise your prices. Make sure you have, what kind of haircut they want. Offer them a service. Offer them a free shampoo every once in a while. Offer them something for their kids, or a package deal. Yeah. Offer them opportunity to come and use your shop to take some pictures. You know what I mean? So you have to give. You have to give back too, instead of just taking.
Yeah. Even at a basic level, just find out more ways to be consistent.
Yes.
Just find out ways to just zero in that consistency. So you're hitting on a 95% free throw percentage. You know what I mean?
And that's it. Anything above 90 is good, man.
Yeah, exactly. So closing out, man, it's all about who you're talking about and who you're raising up. It's never about you, Craig. So tell the world, tell the 5 people watching my podcast. I'm just kidding. Something they don't know about you.
One of my 3 goals this year is to have a social impact. Normalize trade schools, not make kids feel less than, or people feel less than because they didn't go to a 4-year school.
Yeah.
And also workforce development. That's one of my 3 goals. Social impact, normalizing trade schools, and working with the workforce development. I just recently started partnering up with the jail in my area and the region, where I'm going to start teaching the trade in the jail for men and women, and who are to help on recidivism. Recidivism meaning people won't come back to jail.
Exactly.
Give them opportunity to have a career once they get out, something that they can sustain them and help them with their families and their kids. Again, I just recently started working with the jail in Mary, where they just built me a facility in the jail with a classroom setting. Hot water setup.
That's great, man.
So I could teach men and women and give them an opportunity when they get out to go to school in barbering, aesthetics, cosmetology, or manicuring.
That's a big market. That's a big untapped market too.
Yes.
Grabbing people that are trying to turn their life, that are actually serious about turning their life around.
Yes.
And to just give them a new purpose. And I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
I saw it firsthand. I was in school with this cat, and to be honest, in school he kind of isolated himself a little bit. But one thing that was always consistent, he was dead serious about this barber thing.
Yep.
And he wanted to follow through, and that was his way of, he may have been a little yard hard for sure, but that was one way he stayed focused, was just remove everything else in the way, and nothing's going to stop me from doing this. And he's doing great. he didn't fall back into anything. So he's definitely an inspiration for anyone, getting out of jail. And I saw people come out and it didn't work too.
Right.
So, but
everybody just need a chance. Everybody's need an opportunity and a chance, because a lot of times we forget about people on the other side of the wall and they have to come out in our community. So let's help them before they come out, so they can, when they come out in the community, they can have a chance, because it's hard. There's a lot of jobs, but a lot of jobs are not hiring felons. A lot of jobs are not giving people the opportunity just to kind of a second chance to prove themselves. So as we know in our industry, you're not going to be judged male, female, whether it be barbering, cosmetology, aesthetics, massage, any one of those fields in that industry. So just trying to give them opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually going to start this week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice, man. You just keep progressing, man. You're still doing it.
Yes,
How
sir.
old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in my late 40s.
Late 40s. You're not at the big 50 yet, and you're doing all this stuff. Oh yeah, man. That's so great. Yeah, we got to stop this cycle somehow, the overcrowding in jails, and you're doing your part.
Yes,
for sure.
We all have to. I can't wait for you to come on my podcast so we can chop it up.
You just say the word, man. I'll try to be there. We'll look at the next schedule, but
hey, the way they're going, they might go to the championship, man.
Hey, man, I hope so, man. I hope so. Yeah, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop with the Knicks, but it seems like they got a good coach. They got a good group of guys that aren't selfish and they want to fight. That's one thing New York Knicks love. We love dogs. We love guys that don't mind contact. Right. And that Josh Hart dude's like a hero. Jalen Brunson's obviously a dog, and we just got a whole pack of them, man. It's
I like Jalen Brunson a lot. I think he's that straw that stirred the drink.
The moment for me this season why I realized he was legit was I think we're playing the Miami Heat. The very first possession of the game, he got hurt. He hurt his shoulder, his hand, or something. He was hampered dearly by something. And he played the rest of the game, and then he missed the next 2 or 3 games. So that told me he was really hurt. But he wanted to show his guys, listen, I'm going to battle through this. I'm not going to do this load management crap. I'm
invested.
Yeah, that was a great role model. Back to the role model. So, yeah,
that's big.
He's a dog for sure. But all right, Craig, I really appreciate you hopping on here, my man. Thanks for making the time. Let me pull this thing down. And there's a lot of post-production done on my podcast. I keep it authentic. I don't want to seem like we're perfect, but I trim the fat. I trim a little bit of fat.
But that's how it's supposed to be. I think when it's organic, you give people opportunity to be like, I can do that. If Absolutely. It's too scripted and it's it seems like it's too generic, it's hard to really attain and see yourself in that position. So the more organic it is, the better it is for everyone.
I never thought I could do this little podcast all by myself. And
so
far, so good. So far, so good.
It's amazing. I love what you're doing. I appreciate you for even inviting me. And again, we're barbers, so we got to stick together. We got to bond together. So, whatever I can do to help, I'm going to share, and post on your end. And, hey, we both can grow together.
Absolutely, man. It's a brotherhood like no other.
Yes, sir.
So, Craig, I appreciate you, man. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your Sunday.
Yes, the 7th, the 7th.
Talk soon. We'll talk soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Signing out. Appreciate you.
Out. Barber Podcast. New episodes come out weekly on Sunday. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when new content is posted. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.